Let's look at the retail markets or the retail end of the forex market, which is the Bureau de Change operators in Nigeria. They've revealed plans to have a unified retail end of that market to tackle volatility and also ensure compliance with regulations. Now, how will that work out? Let's find out as we have our guest who joins us virtually is Kasimu Garba Kufe, who is the MD, CEO, App Securities and Funds Limited. Good morning, sir. Welcome to Early Exchange.
Yeah, good morning. I'm happy to be with you.
Glad that you could join us. Let's look at the forex market. So the Bureau de Change operators wanting to have a unified retail end to tackle volatility and ensure compliance with regulations. First, let's look at tackling the issue of volatility and achieving a unified retail end. What's the possibility and what do you think will be the process to this?
Well, tackling volatility, it has to do with the supply. Today we are facing fuel scarcity. Whenever there is disruption in the supply, you will get this kind of situation. So what it means that if there is regular supply of foreign exchange, especially to be ready change, you will see the volatility will come down. That is one. Two, we must also tackle the illegal traders. Because in any situation, when you have people that have no rule, they have nothing to obey. And when you have people that have no respect for the regulation, they are ready to violate any situation. And therefore, they create it. And thirdly, we must make sure that there is online assessment that is automated so that it will be across the board. Once you have this, you get it. Most of the banks, they have unified trading prices. The difference is very minor because they can see the same online and they have the capacity, all of them, they are online real time. So we need something like that for us to work. Don't forget that the periodic change have started even before the incorporation of Nigeria, since the time of trade by barter. And many of these traders are scarce, are less automated. Because if you go across the border, we have over 1,000 across the border of Nigeria to the neighbor country. And everywhere you see a periodic change there. Because they need to be there for people that are coming into the country, they need to trade with Naira. So they will have their foreign currency try to exchange. So in those areas, are they all the areas have the communication? Do they have the online real time? These are some of the challenge to have a unified trading system that will reduce the volatility.
I would still like you to shed more light on how this unified platform will help to eliminate illegal traders from the legal ones or those who are licensed to operate in that market. Because as we speak, the market is open, largely unregulated. So how will this plan help in separating those who are licensed from those who are not?
Now that over 4,000 licenses were cancelled, so the number that are effective are just 1,000 plus, which are within the ability of the CBN to control and to monitor. That is one. The second issue, we need to have this kind of the Association Business Process Platform, formerly called SARS, master, should be changed into centralized online real time. If you have something like that, that will also reduce the volatility because they will get it across the board. So we need something like that. And we need to upgrade most of those who are trading the Biridichen. Don't forget, some of them did not go to the school, but they have been in business for a decade. So you cannot throw them away. You just need to upgrade them to ensure that they have the young that are close to them that can assist them to use the technology. And we need the CBN intervention because none of the Biridichans have the enough resources to possess this automated technology. So they need to participate into it to make it available across those license so that they can use it and teach them how to use it. If they do that with the regular supply, I believe it will cut volatility and it will throw away those who are illegal, because everybody wants to get a reasonable price. If you can get it the reasonable price, why should you go to the illegal? Most of the illegal, you see their prices are very high, but because they don't follow any rules, they are willing to sell to anybody and they are willing to buy from anybody. But you are license, you have a guideline. So whoever is selling to you must comply with the guideline. Whoever you are selling to must comply with the guideline, and that can centralize and reduce the volatility.
Unified retail and for the Forex markets, which the Bureau d'Echange operators are pushing forward, is geo-mapping, which should enable buyers or even sellers to locate BDC's offices. Now, how will this affect the prices and even trade at the parallel markets?
You see, today, the sellers contribute to it, the seller dictates the price, and the buyers have no choice. Because a lot of people coming with the foreign exchange, they want to sell to get Naira to do business in Nigeria. So if there is this centralized system, you will see it. Offers across the board, you can see it across the board. So anybody want to offer, you just place the offer. That will centralize the price. But we need a process which is not on the ground. So we need to get that process and make it available across the board and accessible even by handset. Because don't forget, some of these jurisdictions, they don't even have the computer and all this that will go to. But if you can make it with the smartphone, easier, they can see it and now say, this is what is offering in Port Harcourt, this is what is offering in Onitsha, this is what is offering in Katsina or Sokoto or Beni or Badagry. So once you have this centralized, it makes life easier, and therefore you have no choice, because everybody go online and see what is the going price. And therefore, you either sell at that price or you have no buyer. Secondly, the process, the security will also go aligned to ensure that whoever decided to do this business without a license will not allow the spare to pay, so that he will be taken and also jailed. And once you do 1 or 2, you see everybody will reduce themselves to only those that license. And if only those that license, they have no choice than to comply with the rule. And therefore, that will cut volatility and that will give a uniform price across the board.
On the issue of volatility, I would like you to confirm to us if the Central Bank of Nigeria has been living up to its responsibility of providing FX for BDC operators. What is the current situation in the market now?
Well, not as usual. You know, before, CBN provide weekly and bi-weekly, but now it is look like bi-weekly, because from the time they started supplying today, they did not supply more than 3 to 4 times, which we need more of regular supply. Once there is regular supply, that will cut the volatility. At the same time, the regulation, particularly the CBN and the SOUQ, will also go behind this following: Venus, Aboki FX, Bybit, because these are those who are going online and price anyhow. If these were stopped, there is no choice that you have to go to the license. And if you are going to the license, be ready to change, we have a uniform price that will cut volatility. But you are talking of your price. Venus comes with a different price. Aboki FX comes with a different price. And this allowed to prevail, that will continue the volatility, because most of the Forex they take it outside the country, not necessarily for the use by the country or for something else. So if those will be cut off, and the CBN ensures regular supply and streamline the process onto online real time, this will cut volatility, because you, the buyer, you can Google and know where the BDC are. All the licensed BDC will be online. You can see, you can Google, you can see nearby where they are. You can walk into it, walk out into it. Once these are done, I believe that it will make the buyer easier to know where to go and get it, and it makes the seller to know where to go and sell his own, and this will unify the system and bring more business to the BDC And that with a little margin, they can be contented.
Now, we've noticed that the Naira has been falling against the dollar after a season, which was about a week or two, where it appreciated greatly against the Naira. Now it's trading at about 1,450 Naira to the dollar. What do you think are some of the reasons why the Naira did not maintain that appreciation against the dollar?
Well, the reason is very obvious. I told you scarcity. Once there is scarcity, there is no way. The desperate buyer is willing to pay whatever the price. So once there is regular supply, you will see this scarcity will go. Once the scarcity is eliminated, the volatility will come down. What happened recently now, the dollar, if you look at it, at a point after supplying by the CBA, it takes some time. And therefore, we're ready to have no. And more demand arise because the price was low, and therefore push the price up to where it is today.
Since you've raised this issue now, how do we address this issue of scarcity of forex in the market? What should be done by the CBN, not just in the short term, maybe in the long run as well, to ensure that this issue of scarcity is addressed?
So what the CBN ought to do is to make sure there is regular supply. Once there is regular supply to be retained, it will avoid scarcity. Secondly, they should also work hard to curtail the illegal. Anybody who is not licensed will not be allowed to see the light. And once it's done, you will see that you have no choice than to go to the licensed one, and the licensed one have a unified margin, and therefore the price will be the same across the board. And also, as we have said, issues like Binance, Aboki FX, Bybit, all these need to be stopped because they were not licensed by anybody, but they have an impact. And in most time, they mob the online supply of the dollar, and that would bring scarcity.
What do you think might be the challenges with creating and enforcing a unified retail end?
Well, the major one is let CBN be regular in their supply. Once there is regular in supply, you know where you are getting it and you have no issue. Secondly, as they have decided to give all these permissions that those who are bringing through the Western Union, they can sell to Biridi chain, that will increase the more inflow to the Biridi chain. And therefore, we don't have to rely on the CBN, so we can have other sources, especially in diaspora. And the more they supply, the more we are better off. And therefore, the Biridi chain will have enough to supply, and that will reduce volatility.
I would like you to confirm to us, because there are reports suggesting that BDC operators now source for FX from the open market. I'd like you to confirm this. And do you think this is sustainable, if this will be a practice?
It is normal. A lot of people that have collected their dollar through Western Money Union and other means of transportation, when they collect their dollar, they go to be returned. Be returned ever, they have been buying from the outsource, but at times the supply is not good enough. So that is why we rely much more if we can get it from the CBN, because that is you sure, yeah, you are sure the quantity you are getting. You can work out in a day, you can get it, tomorrow you may not get it. So it's not regular, and it all depends. Most of those who are in the international airport, how many international airports do you have across the board? So you will see these are those who are coming with it, and therefore you exchange. So you can see that a lot of states that doesn't have international airport, how do they get it? The only way is through Western Money Union. If they send their hard currency to their relative, and by the time the relative collect it from the bank, they walk to the Biridi chain for selling. Except those who are trading in the open borders. Because you know we have across the border and the border is open. So you see people who are coming by the road and also they go to the Biridi chain. Those ones are normal, and the Biridi chain has been buying from them, selling to them. It's a normal trading and it's never stopped.
What measures will APCON need to implement to ensure compliance of every operator in the unified system that Bureau de Change operators are planning?
We have to have a processing system that will be real-time online. And the system should be made easier and accessible by all. What does that mean? You don't need to have the computer to have access to it, even with a smartphone. Most of the Malam that say we read it, they have smartphone. So if they can have access to it on the smartphone, and the system will be maybe sponsored by CBN because of their capacity. Most of the jurisdictions doesn't have enough to do. So let the system be subsidized and make it easier, and all along with continued teaching and improving in the jurisdiction, this will make it life easier, and they will be familiar with it, and they will use it, and that will reduce volatility, and it will bring the uniform price across the board.
Earlier, we were talking about efforts being made by the CBN to address the issue of volatility. Now, let's talk about the CBN itself. You agree with me that when it comes to FX, when it comes to Forex, the bulk of that comes from crude oil sales. But in recent times, Nigeria has experienced a decline. Would you say the CBN is also battling with some situations that may not allow it to be able to meet up its responsibility of supplying FX to the parallel market? And what can be done differently by this time around to ensure that the FX inflow to the country improves and becomes better than what you used to have?
Well, I think CBN, they are doing their best because they went and borrowed in order to augment the shortfall. But we need the intervention of the fiscal policy to ensure that the productivity of this oil increase to at least a minimum of 2 million barrels. This will bring the more inflow. At the other hand, they ensure that a refinery like Dangote is fully supplied and let Dangote pay in Naira so that they can sell in Naira. And that will reduce the demand for the Forex to import refined product. If we can have it, just like as we have cement now, nobody imports cement into the country because we have enough, despite the construction going on here and there. So what it means that if we can also accelerate our production, both Dangote and Port Harcourt refinery and all these modulars refineries, and they can produce more and let them supply them the local crude oil to pay in Naira so that they can sell in Naira, that will reduce the more pressure on the Forex. So the whatever the quantity that the CBN have will be sufficient enough for other activities. So we need the combination of both the fiscal policy and the monetary policy to make the availability of the foreign exchange for the other needs.
For those who sell foreign currency along the streets and are not part of the Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria, how can the association absorb them into its fold as you plan a unified system? How do you plan to?
Well, you see, CBN is trying to bring a new license rules, and we're waiting for it. By the time that new license with the minimum capitalization come to be, there is room to open branches. And what does that mean? If you are licensed, whoever represents you, even if it's along the street, you must have a tag of your name. So what it means that every seller or buyer is identified. Therefore, if you are along the street, you have your name tag. Therefore, the seller can identify your name and can also see the house you are selling for. And each one the license will be numbered so that if any other person decided to do otherwise, will be identified which house is he using. And if he's not using any house, we know it's an illegal and they will deal with. And if you are representing this house, you must represent it in good faith. So that if you do anything, that agent you are representing the license, you will be deal with. And therefore, because every license know what take to get his license, will not like to employ agent that will destroy his line or deny him his license. If they do that, it will harm everything, and therefore there will be no illegal, and every other person is identified with his name, with his tab number, with the house, the license he is dealing with. If this is done, I can tell you that it will bring sanity into the business, and that will reduce so many illegality that is happening in the Bureau de Change.
Now let's talk about the issue of FX speculation in the market. As a player in that market, I would like you to give us a situation report of the latest development. You're aware that the CBN frowns against this, but what is the latest development in the market now as regards this practice of FX speculations?
Because of the volatility, you know, it went as high as 1,009, it come as low as 1,000 and below. That throw many of them into losses. Now that it is bouncing back, let's have stability. Once there is stability, speculator will run away. Nobody speculate for where you will not get. If you tied your money, instead to take it to the bank where you will gain 25% return, and you decided to tie it for 1 month, there is no changes, what do? You run away. So since now there is alternative, the return given by the bank, monetary side, 25% and above is good enough to curtail speculation. Secondly, let us reduce volatility. When there is less volatility, you will see people have no choice to speculate, because speculation is only happen where there is volatility. Where there is no volatility, no speculation. Today, nobody go and buy Bombita or buy Ovaltine or buy most of this milk, because you know the price remains the same for over a period of time. So if this can happen to the Bureau de Change, to the dollar, I can tell you the speculators have no business and they will run away from it, and that will be the best way.
How do the rest source for Forex?
Well, it's normal. Business people come into the country, goes out the country. Those who are coming, they are coming with their foreign exchange. Those who are going outside, they need foreign exchange. So even if CBN did not supply, as long as people are coming into the Nigeria, they are getting visa, we will get dollar in the Bureau de Change. As long as we are getting people getting visa, going outside the country, they need foreign exchange to buy. What we need is more friendly country where the Nigerians are getting visas and the foreigners are getting visa. That is one. Secondly, remember Nigerian diaspora remit substantial money. If they can do it through Western Money Union and other means, once they give it to their relative go to the bank and collect their dollar. Once they collect it, they will go to be registered and sell. And that is other alternative source of getting it. As long as they are this, which they exist and they continue to exist, so you will see we will be in business. But why we need the supply from CBN is simply because to augment and stabilize the market, so that if there is shortfall, their supply will meet up the shortfall, and that reduce volatility. But anytime, any day, people are coming in, people are going out. Those are coming in, they are coming with the foreign exchange. Those are going out, they need foreign exchange. And this is living, and it's a continuous way of life.
All right, you seem to be painting a picture of, maybe if I may put it this way, hard times for BDC operators in Nigeria. May I ask, how are you coping in business with this kind of development?
Well, you see, the business is made by two things, supply and demand. No matter what the situation, you get somebody who has foreign exchange and he needs Naira. And who does it? Most of them, they don't go to the bank, they go to the mala. And we are ready to give them the Naira and take it. Whatever the price we got it, that is the price we add our margin and sell. So there is a continued living. I can tell you there is no time, there is no Bureau de Change activities. Because people walk in and people walk out. And because of this, so at any given time, there is. But do we get sufficient and enough as the demand arises at time? No. But we do. At any given time, people come in and people goes out. And in diaspora, they also send their dollar. And don't forget, we do also operate. If you are in diaspora, you can give us a dollar there. We keep it there. We give you Naira here. And those who want to collect it there, they can give us Naira and we ask them to collect it there. So at any given time, there is business. But without CBN supplement, you get that not all have the ability to get this. Definitely should be really changed along the border, they get business on daily basis. But Beirut be changed within the country. Only those who are that are having international airport get more of it. And those that have banks that deal into it that get more of it. But the rest, they end up with little or nothing to do without CBN supply.
Now, I know that the demand you're having perhaps is very good for business, but let's look at the pressure that the British exchange operators are under. Now, the CBN governor has raised the concern of dollarization of the Nigerian economy. Looking years back, maybe 10 years or even 15 years ago, the demand that you were having then and the demand you have now, could you say is the same or there's been a very high increase in terms of the demand? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, you see the demand increase. The reason is that most of the manufacturers, petroleum importers, cannot get enough dollar in the bank. So if you cannot get it in the bank, you have to look alternative. And the only alternative is really change. And when they look for it, it compels us to look where we can source it for them. And this is what brings most of the volatility, and that's what brings this. But if most of the manufacturers and the petroleum importers can get enough from the bank, they will not come to the Viridichan. And if they don't come to the Viridichan, the demand is less because we are dealing with the travelers who most of the time they need 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, maximum 5,000. And that one, the Viridichan can take care of it. But whenever you see manufacturing company, they are looking for 100,000, 500,000, it compels Viridichan to look else to see where they can meet up this demand. So this is the situation. So when the demand is increasing, if there is scarcity in the bank and there is more demand by the manufacturers, importers, traders, and so many that they cannot get it in the bank. Assuming they give you a visa today to travel outside, you may apply to your bank, you may not get it. So the only option for you to meet up, you have to come to the Viridichan. So these are the situation. So if the CBN can meet up the bank demands, as well as supply the supplementary to the Viridichan, all this will be a bygone, and you can see the pressure on the demand will be less. And therefore, those who are looking for large quantity, they will go to the bank and open their letter of credit. And therefore, they will get it there and move on.
The Bureau de Change Operators are dealing with high volume Forex sales. Is that not outside the scope of Bureau de Change operations?
You see, when you are in the market, whoever demand for it, he will ask for you. The scope is to meet up those demand. Yes, we don't open letter of credit. But that does not mean those who are looking for extra dollar, they will not come to the Viridichan. Even if it is 5,000, 10,000, we have over 1,000. If you can get 5,000 times 100, that give you what? 500,000. If you are looking for 1 million, you ask for 10,000 from 100 Viridichan, that is 1 million. So don't forget that we are over 1,000 licenses. And we are out for business day in, day out. People demand for it and people supply for it. So we are in between. When we get the supply, we take it. When we get the demand, we demand it. And within ourselves, we also collaborate. If I don't have you ask for me, I will ask my colleagues if they have. And through collaboration, we align and meet up your demand. And therefore, you come to us tomorrow.
All right, interesting. It's looking like the BDC operators are trying to stay in business now rather than focusing on maximizing profit. Good. But let's talk about the issue of touting in the market where you have people parade themselves as licensed BDC operators. I'm aware of what the CBN is doing in this regard. But I would like to know, what's your association doing in this regard? It is often said that charity should begin at home. So how will your own charity begin at at home now, looking at what your association should do as regards addressing the issue of touting around the FX market?
Well, those who are touting, they are touting. No matter what, you human beings, you will find that you will try one way or the other of survival. But we are appealing to them. If you cannot have license, please, we have about 1,000 lines. Join hand together. You can be 5, you can be 10. Join hand for one license and work on it so that we don't have illegality. And now the new license that is coming allowed you to have branches. So today, you can look at SOUQ. You can get it local airport. You go to international airport, you see them. You go to Abuja airport. So by the time we have those that have branches across the state, that will reduce this because most of them, they are living hand to mouth. They cannot even obtain the license. And when the rules stand that you cannot do it without being an agent of the licensed one, they have no choice than to be an agent of the licensed one. And they are our colleagues and our brothers. We can call them and give them agent. You are agent, follow by this rule and go by this and go with my tag. If this is applied, you will see that most of those who decided to do illegal, they will not survive. Because once your name is not, you must tag your name and the house you are, the license you are representing. And if you do that, you will see it. You enter the aircraft, you see that every crew members there, they have their tag number adjust. So it can be applied to be registered. And those who are in the street, we make sure they have tag number and the license they are following. If they do that, you will see that if you don't do it, you, the seller or the buyer, you know you are dealing with the illegal person.
As we wrap up, what is the timeline that you're looking at in achieving this unified system?
Well, honestly speaking, we see it that it will be perfectly done by the time the new license guideline by the CBN. Because as I told you, you are talking of technology, and technology is not free, and therefore it costs money. And this money is running into millions, and therefore we expect the CBN intervention, being as a regular, will intervene into to make sure we have a system that works just like we have InterSwitch. Today, InterSwitch is not owned by any bank, but all the banks ride on the InterSwitch to work their automated trading system. So what we are saying, we are expecting a similar system to have a system that will be real-time online and can be accessed even by the smartphone by all the license be registered, supported, sponsored by CBN, that will bring uniformity and bring orderliness, and they will be able to statistically have the control of what is going on daily basis.
Let's wrap up this way. If you are to highlight, 3 things that you feel can be done to help BDC operators stay in business, help their plight in business, what will be your submission?
My submission, CBN should consider that a lot of those who are in the religion, they are not, we cannot say highly educated. So therefore, they should try to carry them along because this is their livelihood for decades. We should not throw them away. Then along the line, we bring them the JC, all these young intellectuals who can also enable them to work under them so that they will make the system work smoothly. Because all this technology, you will see that most of the young graduates that are not, if we can have a good number of them with a subsidized allowances, they can work under us, and that will make the system work smoothly. Thirdly, regular supply. CBN should not supply today and take 2-3 weeks before they supply again. They should be consistent. Once they are consistent, I can tell you there will be stability. When there is stability, it will reduce volatility. When it reduces volatility, you will see that everybody will have something to do without going outside the scope.
Well, thank you so much, Kasimro Garba Kofi, the MD, CEO, Apt Securities and Funds Limited, for joining us on L Exchange today.
Thank you for having me.
Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.